Good evening and welcome to The Right Side, the show where we talk about today's news, views, trends, and opinions from an admittedly conservative perspective. I'm your host, Chris Pareja, and this evening we're joined by the toughest sheriff in America, Sheriff Joe Arpaio from Maricopa County, Arizona. Welcome.
Which includes Phoenix.
Which includes Phoenix. So you're out in the Bay Area for a little while. Have you seen many protesters yet?
No, I'm rather disappointed wherever I go. They follow me. Actually, they've been quiet in the recent months. I don't know what's wrong, but that's okay.
Well, I jokingly say there are protesters around and that kind of thing, but you have a reputation for being somebody who likes to uphold the laws and have shown up in the news on many occasions over things such as immigration law enforcement. And I'd like to talk with you this evening a little bit about some of the run-ups you've had with the federal government and others, but talk to us about, we hear that illegal immigration is not a problem. These are just people who are, for the most part, trying to do what's right for their family. How much of a magnitude of scale are you coming across in Maricopa County in Arizona?
Well, you know, I spent 4 years as the regional director in Mexico City, South America, Texas, another assignment, Arizona, another at the border, so with the U.S. Drug Enforcement. So I think I know a little about the Mexican U.S. border. It is a complex problem. We still have drugs coming across, and now we see a connection between drugs and illegal immigration. Many of the drug traffickers we arrest are here illegally too. I run a jail system also. We have about 8,200 people in jail, and about 15% of those in the jail for all different types of crimes from murder down are here illegally. So that's about 14%. If we didn't have that problem, that would be 14% not in the jail. So we do have a connection between illegal immigration and the drug traffic and crime.
And so is drug trafficking the only crime, or are you seeing other things like human trafficking, kidnappings, and some of the other things that we hear might be possibilities in the news?
Well, we're enforcing 2 state laws, my office. The federal government did authorize 160 of my deputies after 5 weeks training to act as immigration officers. Of course, they took that away after Obama took office. But then we were responsible for about at least 50,000 illegal aliens that we have arrested on the streets and in the jails. So that's a pretty large chunk. That was several years ago. Right now, we're still concentrating on the workplace where employers hire employees that are here illegally, but we don't go after the employees because they're here illegally. We arrest them for fake identification, which is a serious charge. Now, all the critics will say that I break up families, dishwashers, and so on. They forget to say that they have committed serious crimes by stealing your identification. So that's a big problem. Take off from the immigration problem. We try to get the employers also, not just the employees. Very difficult to get the employers. The law is not that tough. So we're still doing that. As far as the human smuggling, district court judge has put the handcuffs on me for every law enforcement for grabbing these so-called coyotes. And we used to arrest the coyote plus the people in the vehicle that are being smuggled in. Now the courts had that tied up. So we're losing quite a bit of our authority because of these federal court decisions and because of the Department of Justice and because of the president playing games behind the scenes or with executive orders when these laws should be going through Congress. So there's a lot of games being played lately. And I just proved something, yet no media will print what I put out to the Homeland Security chief expecting an answer. I'd like to know why we looked at 3,000 inmates that were in the jail for illegal, that were here illegally, and 31% have come back. Several times. They should have been deported, not let out the back door. So there's something wrong with their own policies. And why would people come back 8, 10 times 8, 10 times, or 15 times in this country illegally, keep coming back, many times for crimes against the people of Maricopa County.
And so are these, in many cases, with those particular set of revisitors to your system, are those violent crimes, or are they just jaywalking?
No, they're not jaywalking. They meet the criteria of the Homeland Security, where if there's serious crimes or even 2 DUIs, you're supposed to be deported, top priority. Well, evidently, if they are deported, they keep coming across. If they're not deported, that means they're going out the back door when they pick them up from our jails. So you can't have it both ways. I didn't get an answer. I'm not going to get an answer. What, are you kidding? I wrote to Holder twice on his department going after me on alleged racial profiling.
Right. And so you're saying that you said there were 50,000 arrests. Over what span of time, and what happened to all those people?
This was years ago,
okay.
2007. When we had the authority, the federal authority that they specifically gave to my office. So we were acting as federal officers too. Rather successful, probably 1/4 of the whole country when you talk about state and local. So I don't know, I didn't keep track way back in those days.
Right.
But it is a very serious subject. You know, Congress should look at it. Someone should look at it and make some decisions. I'm a law enforcement guy. I enforce the laws. But this problem has to be resolved instead of talking about it.
And so if you were able to bend Congress's ear and have them present a solution that would be workable, especially for those folks impacted, like your citizens are, on a daily basis by the crime and all of the other uncertainty that comes along with having such an influx over the border, what are some recommendations you would make to Congress to tighten things up?
First of all, I would give the authority back to state and local to help the government enforce that law. It's strange that they allow state and local to help out the FBI on certain crimes, bank robberies, or smuggling, the customs, or drugs, the DEA. I can go on and on. Why do not they? How come they don't use the state and local to enforce that violation of law, which is called illegal immigration? So I would get state and local back again. Now, as the director of Mexico City, if I was the president of the United States or even the governor, I would do what I have done many years ago in Mexico City. We were operational. My agents worked undercover. They worked right along the federal police or the Army, so I would recommend to the President of Mexico, let me send the Border Patrol across the border to work with you guys, and if they say it's too dangerous, let's send the military. Let's send the military across the border, not invade Mexico, just work with them like I used to do, work together with the resources and the will, and I guarantee you, you'll be stopping the drug traffic and the illegal immigration if we work together on that side, not on our side, on that side. But that's never going to happen in a million years. No president will have the guts to do that. Worry about the, you know, about the politics and diplomacy in that country.
Mm-hmm. And so has that changed just with administrative changes as far as the administrations that are in the offices, or is it just, it seems that the American policy is now as hands-off as possible on stopping excessive border?
We can go back to
activity.
Nixon and prior to that, even with Kennedy and so on, we used to be operational. And when I was in Turkey for 4 years, I was operational too. Because you got to get there, you can't just give them helicopters or money or have a briefcase to exchange intelligence. You got to get there on the streets, work with them. And we've always done that. I think there was a senator from California that ruined that many, many years ago because of some alleged beating of a Mexican by an American agent. So since that time, they don't work operational around the world, and that's sad.
And so as far as we hear about fence, no fence, other types of situations where drones would be used for border enforcement, what do you think would be a workable solution on that level?
Well, first of all, the fence. I'm not against the fence, although I do know that they'll get ladders and hop over. Come on.
Yeah.
I've been fighting that border for 50 years, starting from Chicago when I was a federal agent. You're never going to secure the border 100%. And I laugh at all the politicians when they always say, we must secure the border first, and then we will look into the illegal immigration problem in the interior. That's a cop-out. They know it will never be enforced. No, you enforce the border, and then the interior, you go after those that are here illegally, and then across the border, you do it. Don't say keep secure the border first. Come on. So I'm not against the fence, although have you ever heard when the guy hops a fence, what happens to him? When you hop the fence, you should go directly to jail. Quit kicking them across and they come across again. You have to have a deterrence.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, with this administration, it seems like the deterrent of crime is diminished, not just on immigration, but on other things as well. And even if it's acts of terror or whatever, we're not allowed to call it that anymore, of course. But anything that seems like it's a crime against the citizens seems to be lower on the priority level for this particular administration.
Well, now the Attorney General, my friend Holder, wants to kick everybody out of jail, that small amounts of drugs and that type of thing. But they like the word amnesty, it looks like, this administration. They want amnesty for the people here illegally. They want to give amnesty to thousands and thousands of people in jails. That's a famous word, probably, emanating from the White House.
Well, in California, I was just hearing on the way here this evening, they don't even need amnesty. We're working on putting together driver's licenses and other things for people who are not here legally. That way they can get around and function in society.
Well, when I was locking up all the people coming through Maricopa County from the border, many of them that we stopped were coming to California. I never got a call from your former governor or the present governor saying, thank you, Sheriff. Boy, you stopped these guys from coming into our sanctuary state. You ever hear of that?
Nope.
What's the name? Schwarzenegger. And now I wrote to Governor Brown. Naturally, I don't get an answer. I guess I'm just a little old sheriff. But I wrote to him when he wanted to kick out 10,000 inmates from the prisons. I told him, I'll take them. Send them to me. Back, I got plenty of tents. I can build a few more tents for him, but no answer. So you don't surrender. You come up with some idea how to rectify the problem of overcrowding. I think in San Francisco you have some water there, and I think there's a lot of excess boats or ships or anything. Why not put the inmates on a ship? Why just let it, on the ocean? That's what I would do instead of letting them out roaming around the streets. We're talking about serious felons, but you can always do something if you have the will to do it.
And so you talk a little bit about the prisons and putting the tents out there. You're known for treating inmates like inmates. Talk to us a little bit about some of the things that you see within your own system and how likely people are to return.
Let me say this. I don't have all these criminal justice degrees, or I'm not a psychologist or social worker, but I just use common sense. I'm not going to say I'm the greatest sheriff around. I just use common sense. When I ran for office in 1992, I joined the Army when the Korean War broke out. Let's put tents up. Hey, let's put them up. $100,000 versus $80 million. If you want to talk about money, that's not why I do it. So we have tents, over 500,000 have come through, convicted. All the others that are waiting to be convicted or go to trial are in our other hard facilities. That's a great program. I took away their porno when I took office, took away their violence on TV, took away their coffee, put them in pink underwear, chain gangs. I have the only female chain gang in the history of the world. How I know that? I've been interviewed by 4,000 foreign television, including Russia and China. They come to talk to me. They don't care about the governor. And I always say, do you put females on a chain gang? They think I'm nuts. So I guess I am the only one. I'm an equal opportunity guy. We don't discriminate against women. Give them the chance to be on a chain gang down the main drags. I don't put them in a desert chopping rocks. They go right down the main streets in their pink underwear, striped uniforms, so all the kids can see them and get scared and not come to jail.
Yeah. And so, and you do feed them things like bologna sandwiches, etc.?
No, I took away bologna last month. No more meat. So I have them all on vegetarian, and I'm mad because our price went up. Our meals now, it's like, it used to be 30 cents, it's 55 cents a meal. But we only give them 2. Brunch, which is a peanut butter sandwich, no more bologna, and a hot meal. So they're all vegetarians. I think that's good, healthy for them.
And so as far as visitors, you talked about the ones that come back across the border, but what about the U.S.-based inmates? Do you see a lot of return visitors, or what's your recidivism rate like?
Yeah, the reoffending is still up there. I would say maybe 50%. But we have a great drug prevention program. We just did a survey, and we reduced that about 30%. They've gone through our 6-week course on drugs, because the majority of people are in prisons and jails because of drug abuse or drug-related crime. Now, what I did, I separated all the veterans. We have about 250 veterans for all different types of crime in my jail. So I put them all in one section, took a little heat on that, and because they should be receiving special treatment. And I'm not ashamed to say that. And also I put American flags in every cell. Don't forget, we have 8,000 people.
Right.
And anybody messes with the flag, bread and water. So we have about 29 on bread and water for messing with the American flag. So I run a patriotic jail, because every morning they sing God Bless America, at night the national anthem. It doesn't matter where you're from, once you're in this country, in this jail, I expect you to sing.
And so what kind of heat have you taken for those kinds of stances? Because in California, we try to take care of our prisoners in ways that don't make them feel as badly in their self-esteem.
Is singing patriotic songs not taking care of them? What are you talking about? Is putting an American flag in the jail? That's nice.
We don't even allow them in our schools, I don't think, anymore, do we? Inside the classroom.
Jails are not schools.
Well, that's true.
Although I have a high school in the jail, the only sheriff for the kids. I do have a high school. I call it Hard Knocks High. So we take care of these guys. I don't talk too much about it, because then I'll be called the nicest sheriff in America. But we do have a lot of good rehabilitation programs.
Yeah, and so how have you seen things? It sounds like, although you're across the country, you're either loved or hated, and you probably know that very well. But it seems that the citizens of Maricopa County have a pretty high approval rating of at least the results you're getting. How does that mesh with the national narrative? Well,
let me say I'm well known across the country. There's rumors I may run for governor. I'll make that decision 2 weeks. If I do run, I have to leave the office. I don't want to leave the office. I have some sensitive investigations going on, including the birth certificate.
And so that's one that's come up.
I know, and I'm not done with that yet. If people think I surrender, no. It's really interesting. No politician, nobody will touch this. The media is a blackout. I can't believe this. And I have the evidence. So I'm trying to find out who is behind it now. That's the key. You can always have a crime to investigate, but I think you would like to know who did it.
And why. So for those in the audience who don't know exactly what the birth certificate investigation is all about, can you give them a sentence or two? Well, more if you'd like.
Well, I got about 200 Tea Party people came to me and said, "Sheriff, you're the elected sheriff. You're our last resort. Nobody has touched this." So I had to make a decision. These are my constituents. They asked me to do something, I'm going to do it. I could have thrown it in the wastebasket. I decided to use my posse, free posse, cold case posse.
Right.
So it doesn't cost taxpayers any money. So we worked it and worked it and worked it.
And the birth certificate you're looking for would be that of the current president.
No, I am not looking at whether he's here illegally or not. I am looking at a forged, fraudulent document in Hawaii by the government. If you did it, you'd be in jail tomorrow.
Right.
Nobody wants to touch us. Nobody. But I'm still trying to find out who is behind it.
Right. Well, their Photoshop skills are poor because the stuff moves around on the document.
We got all that, but isn't it interesting? Nobody cares.
Yeah.
A fraudulent document. You can't have fraudulent documents. Come on.
Right.
It's a felony. I'm locking people up every day with fake documents that are here illegally.
Right. And so, but there's still, that is a case that's still in the works and something you'd like to see to completion.
Don't be fooled by it's over.
Okay. Great. And so what was some of the other things you'd like to finish in your tenure as sheriff? Anything you can share?
Well, I'll be, my birthday is Flag Day, June 14, 1932. Bring out your calculators. You'll know I'm a senior citizen. Number two, if I don't run for governor, for all those critics out there, I will be running for sheriff again in 2016. It'll be my 7th time. I've already raised over $4.3 million for all those critics out there. So I expect to be well funded again in 2-3 years from now. And I'm going to need it, because everybody's taking shots at me, not literally, although I have a lot of threats. Mm-hmm. Just busted another guy sending me a bomb, but that's okay. That's just nature of the beast. It's my fault because I'm the high-profile guy.
Right. And so, as far as if people are looking at you, and I mean, what drives you? We've got just a few minutes left. You know, we talked before the show. You have a never give up kind of mentality, but as you said, you're a senior citizen. Sometimes
82 in June. 82
in June, and you wear it well. But
Italian olive oil.
Bathed like a salad. What drives a man that's coming up on 82 years old to stay in the limelight, to keep accepting the bomb-laden packages and everything else when other people have turned it in and switched to the golf clubs in Arizona?
Well, I'm married 57 years, and she's always been behind me, my wife. And, you know, I don't put the red light and siren on. You know, I pass those days in all my law enforcement, but the only thing that keeps me going is I'm elected. If I was appointed, I would have been fired 21 years ago. Being elected, I can make my decisions quick, live or die by my decisions, and I believe in enforcing the law. On the other hand, the more they go after me, the more I'm going to keep fighting for the people. Now, if people want me, I'm going to hang around. They don't want me, go hire somebody else in the voting process. But the more they go after me, so I'm not going to surrender. These people, I say people, the organizations, that they were smart. They say, I love you, Sheriff. You've done a great job. We'll buy your ticket on the cruise line. Relax. But that's the way you get rid of me, not by keep blasting me.
Okay. So once you're loved, that's when you know that it's time for you to go ahead and move on to the golf clubs.
That will never happen by everybody, especially the people in jail. So I'm safe. I don't have to leave.
Okay. So we have only a minute left to go. If people want to find out more about what you're doing and what you're up to, is there a website or someplace where they can go to find out?
I got a Twitter. I don't know how to use it, but it's the real Sheriff Joe. And then I have a Facebook, Joe Arpaio and Force. I got about 500,000 followers without even asking. So just get on the web. I'll probably mention you that I was here.
Okay.
And so I use the web, but I don't know how to punch it. I have my public information on, so I don't have webs. I don't have computers. I don't have all that stuff.
Do you have a campaign site that they can go to see how the campaign is going if they want to watch remotely?
Nah, I really don't.
Okay.
Sorry.
So Google you, they'll find out
You'll
plenty.
track me. Just Google me or whatever. You'll see all the garbage and lies and everything else.
Well, that adds for flavor and credibility,
right?
right?
Goes up my polls.
Well, we'd like to thank you for joining us this evening, Sheriff. And at this point, we'll ask you to hold on for just a moment, and we'll be back after a word from our sponsors, the Conservative Forum. Thanks.
The Conservative Forum of Silicon Valley began with 20 conservatives meeting at a restaurant in November of 2003. Our mission is to promote the principles of American liberty through education. By 2012, we had grown to over 600 paid members. Our monthly meetings feature well-known and prestigious conservative speakers addressing issues that are critical to our country's very survival. This includes speakers like Victor Davis Hanson, Andrew Breitbart, David Horowitz, and many others. In addition to our monthly meetings, we sponsor a conservative local cable access TV show, The Right Side, covering today's topics. Our Constitution discussion group not only teaches the Constitution, but started our annual essay contest that awards 2 $1,000 scholarships to local high school seniors. We are a virtual clearinghouse for grassroots organizations by providing them with table space at no charge in our exhibit area. There are typically a dozen groups represented. If you are like-minded, join us at our next meeting and become motivated and empowered. Liberty, made in America.
And welcome back to The Right Side. That was a word from our underwriters, the Conservative Forum. And what they're best known for, actually, is their speaker series, which was why we were so lucky to have Sheriff Joe Arpaio with us this evening. He'll be speaking at the forum this evening. Doors open at 7 at 432 Stearland Road, right here in Mountain View, about 3 minutes from the set. You will be able to find out more about the upcoming events, speakers like Nani Darwish and others that will be coming in the coming months. Usually the events happen the first Tuesday of the month, except for in July, where it's moved usually to the second Tuesday, and that will change in November. So check out theconservativeforum.com for more details. And in closing this evening, if you haven't heard of Sheriff Joe previously, I do encourage you to check him out. You'll find that sometimes, even though he has a controversial reputation, that a lot of the popularity that he also encounters is because many of his tactics work as far as enforcing law. And in many cases, the grassroots organizations have backed him specifically for that reason. People do like safe neighborhoods to live in. They like to make sure that if they're following the laws, other people will too. And it's refreshing to see that as an elected official, Sheriff Joe is still out there trying to fight the good fight, stand by his beliefs, and that he's not completely criminalized for doing so. So check him out. You can Google him. His last name is spelled Arpaio. And on that note, we'd like to say thanks for joining us this evening on The Right Side. I've been your host, Chris Pareja, and we'll look forward to seeing you again sometime soon, either in person or on the show. Thanks again. Good night.